want to make maple syrup, you need a maple tree, and this is what one looks like. We're at Tractor Supply to get taps for the maple trees. Here are the taps that we need. They're $5.99 for a 12-pack. We're at Harbor Freight to get buckets for the sap. Buckets are about $4 and the lids are about $3. We're off to collect some maple syrup. At Menards to get the hose to connect the taps to the buckets. It's the tubing that we get. It's a 50-foot roll and it costs about $16. Now that we got the supplies from the stores, now you need some supplies from home, which is a drill, a tape measure, some scissors or cutters, masking tape, drill bits, and a wooden mallet. Now that we got our drill, which is a 5/16, and our piece of tape that's marked 2 inches from the tip, I'm gonna drill from this root 3 feet above, which is about right here, at an upwards angle. Now that we got our hole drill, we're gonna hit this tap into the tree. We've already got sap dripping from it. Now that we got our tap pounded in, we're gonna take our hose and put it into the tap. And now that we got the tap into our hose, we're gonna cut it about this long, probably about this long. Now that we got everything ready, we need to drill a hole into our bucket. The last step is to insert the line. There we go. The final step is that we need to take a rock that's about 2 pounds and put it on top of the lid so the bucket doesn't blow away. Now let's check how much sap this tree has that we tapped yesterday. Open this lid, take the rock off, open this lid. Hey Dad, can you hold this?
Yep.
That's a pretty good amount. Now we're just gonna take this bucket, bring it over here, swap it out with this one. This is our last tree. Let's see how much sap this one has. Sometimes you gotta combine the buckets because we got no more buckets and hopefully this fits into there. It's gonna be close.
It's gonna be heavy.
Yeah, we barely got it. I'm gonna put this back on. Same with the rock.
You want to be real careful not to get any dirt or anything in your sap.
Yep, there's a piece of grass on the lid. Because if you do, you're gonna need to straighten it out with a coffee filter when you start to boil it.
Okay.
Now that we collect this sap from that tree and the one up front, we're gonna start boiling. To start boiling, we need to put the sap into this metal bucket.
Kind of looks like water, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a 40-to-1 ratio.
And that pot is clean. It's just stained.
Yep. Now we're gonna start boiling. Now that we got this full, and we're gonna start this one. We've already got this one going, but we're just gonna show you the process. So we're gonna turn it on and light it. And I'm gonna take this, put it on. Let's start boiling. Now that we have the sap boiling around 214 degrees, every single time it gets a little low, we're gonna try and put the sap in there with a measuring cup so it doesn't get as low as the temperature as it would if you would just dump it in with a bucket. So the temperature right now is at 203 degrees, 201 degrees, and if you would have dumped it with the bucket, it would have been around 180 degrees. So that's why we use this measuring cup. Before it comes back to a boil, you see this froth right here? You want to scoop it out with a strainer and a coffee filter. Because the froth contains impurities. And sometimes when you get closer to the finished product, you can swipe your finger along there and then taste it.
You can still try it now.
It tastes like maple syrup.
It's not concentrated yet, so.
Because right now, it just tastes like foam. I'm lighting a second pot now because it's more efficient to light 2 pots instead of just 1. Add some sap to the maple syrup because you need to add the sap all night, but I fell asleep last night, so my parents took over. Now that the steam went down, you can tell that there are different colors than the clear that it is over here. And because the maple syrup is getting more concentrated, and now if we try the foam, now it tastes like the maple syrup was like carbonated. And now the carbonation is as the foam, like it shake it up. So we're still adding sap. Probably just gonna do 1 scoop. Well, I think we're running out of propane too. That's pretty light. So is this one. So I guess we need to go to Tractor Supply. We're at Tractor Supply to get more propane for maple syrup. Here's where you get the propane. It's about $4 a gallon, and it's on the right side of Tractor Supply. Now that we're back from getting the propane, and now that these are cool, I'm gonna show you what the sap in different stages looks like. So This is what the sap looks like as soon as it comes out of the tree. This is what the sap looks like after 10 gallons. And this is what the sap looks like after 15, 20 gallons, right, Dad?
Yep. Can you go ahead and sip a little, see what tastes, what's the leftovers in the glass taste like?
Oh, that's good. Now I'm going to consolidate these two buckets, so now we're going to have about 40 gallons in total. Get it up here. There. Now we're gonna start boiling. Now that it's boiling around 214 degrees, I'm just gonna keep on letting it boil down. So it's at a steady 216 degrees instead of 214. Because at 216, we're gonna pull it off and bring it inside. Now that we have it boiling around 215 degrees at a decent boil, when it gets to 219, that's when we take it off the heat because that's 7 degrees above the boiling point of water, which is the boiling point of sugar. That we got it to 219 degrees, which was the boiling point for the sugar and the finishing point for the sap. Now this is syrup, and now we're just going to wait for it to cool. Now that it's about 190 degrees, we're going to run it through the filter. Now we're pouring the maple syrup through a filter.
Yep, raise it up.
Oh, it's cutting it close.
I don't know if we're gonna make it.
Now that the maple syrup's reached 180 degrees, now we're going to start bottling it. So we need to take our strainer, bottle. Take this. Dump it over there. That's all here. Okay, now that we just finished bottling the first bottle, we're gonna just take this out and put the lid on. And now we're gonna do it to all the other bottles. Now that we finished bottling all of the maple syrup, which is delicious, it's one of the best batches that we had because it's very clear. And we strained this one like 3 or 4 times. Compared to this, we forgot to strain this one. This is probably one of the best batches that we've had. That's how to make maple syrup with EC Northwoods.